Hi, I'm Dan Q, and you're listening to a podcast that nobody asked for, exclusively about things that only I find interesting. Today, I'll be talking about Lake Baikal. As usual, there's a blog post to accompany this episode. Find the link wherever you listen to your podcasts, or look me up at danq.me. To celebrate Wikipedia's 25th birthday this year, they're encouraging/challenging people to read one Wikipedia article a day for 25 consecutive days. So I've been doing that. I have been picking random articles using the random article tool, sometimes clicking the button a few times if I'm bored by the first one I get, and I've been taking whatever I find, reading around it a bit, all on Wikipedia, and turning what I learn into blog posts and podcast episodes. Today's random article was Baikal seal, from which I've been learning about Lake Baikal. The Baikal seal is a species of earless seal that lives exclusively in Lake Baikal in Siberia. It's one of only a tiny number of species of seal that spends its entire life only in fresh water. There are others, like the more widespread harbour seal. You get those around here in the UK. Well, not around here, I live a long way inland. But in the UK, you get harbour seals, and they can and will swim up rivers to hunt, but they mostly live in salt water. But the Baikal seal, entirely freshwater, all the time. So the Baikal seal is confined to just this one lake, which sounds like it's going to be a small area until you realise quite how large Lake Baikal is. It's the 7th largest lake in the world, so that's just a little larger than Belgium. But even that doesn't really do justice to its volume, because it also happens to be the deepest lake in the world. It's so deep that somewhere between a fifth and a quarter of all of the surface fresh water in the world is in this one lake. I mean, if you count frozen water in the ice caps and glaciers too, then Lake Baikal still contains about a fifth of all the fresh water on Earth. That's just amazing. So Lake Baikal is quite so deep because it's a rift lake. It sits close to the boundary between the Eurasian and Amur tectonic plates, which are sort of shearing away from each other. For that same reason, there are volcanic hot springs deep in the lake, although the lake, of course, is so massive that they have no measurable effect on its overall temperature. There's actually quite a lot of not fully understood geology going on in the region, despite there being active research going back over a century. Oh, here's another thing about Lake Baikal. The clarity of the water is noteworthy. You get about 40 metres of visibility in the winter. The Baikal seal isn't the only species unique to the lake. It's also home to a kind of fish called the Omul, a salmon-like fish that's long been part of the cuisine of the area. It's used to make something called Raskolotka, known as stroganina elsewhere in Russia. Raskolotka is thin slices of the meat cut almost the entire length of the fish's body and served as frozen curls. The particular shape of a traditional skinning Yakutian knife, which is sharpened to a curve on one side and left flat on the other, is apparently especially suited to the task of making Raskolotka. Lake Baikal also hosts the Baikal Deep Underwater Neutrino Telescope, whose acronym BDWNT makes me think of Bund cakes, which Wikipedia tells me no one's certain of the etymology of. Anyway, that's a diversion. The Neutrino Telescope is an SK variety neutrino detector. It spots neutrinos zipping through the Earth when they just occasionally interact with the water. When a neutrino interacts with water, it results in the creation of a high-energy electron, or muon, which in turn results in a short burst of Cherkanov radiation. So, BDWNT is operated from the surface of winter ice, and the experiment aims to search for evidence of exotic stuff like relic dark matter in the sun and other astronomical phenomena. It's all interesting, but if there's one thing I've taken away from this daily deep dive, it's how cute the young Baikal seals are. Sadly, as a podcast listener, you don't get to see the picture, but if you hop across to my blog post, there's a cute picture of a seal there. I'm wondering now what tomorrow's random Wikipedia article will bring me. If it's as interesting as this one, I'll be sure to share it with you. Once again, this episode of my podcast was based on a blog post which you can find on danq.me. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a comment on the blog post or drop me an email on podcast@danq.me. And as always, Dan Q for listening. Dan Q very much.